And England have flexed some serious muscle once more in this ICC Cricket World Cup 2019. They've put that defeat against Pakistan firmly behind them, and they've done what most of us expected them to do, that is outbat the opposition, courtesy 153 from Jason Roy, his 9th ODI ton, and Bangladesh just lacking penetration with ball. They did manage runs with the bat. Shakib Al Hasan with 121 is now the tournament's leading run scorer, but he had little in terms of support otherwise. And England, in spite of conceding 280, win this quite comfortably. It's a very warm welcome to our viewers on ESPN Cricinfo, and welcome back to our viewers on the ESPN network in the Caribbean. We're focusing on Bangladesh v England. We've just seen that game conclude in Cardiff. We've also heard from both sets of captains. Ajit Agarkar is still here, so too is Daren Ganga. We'll be hearing from Graeme Swann with Alexis Nunez and Shahriar Nafees in just a bit. Let's just sum up the takeaways from this game, because there were pluses and minuses for both teams going into it. What do you take away from the English perspective first, Daren?
I would say it's a continuation of the great batting form that they've shown. It's a world record, 7 consecutive scores,
yes.
Over 300 plus in ODI cricket, and that shows that there's a lot of substance and quality in this batting lineup. If you look at that order 1 to 6, you'd see that most of these players, they have very good conversion rates as batsmen. If they get a start, they go on to score 100 more often than not, and in a 50-over game, you expect that to happen. Not everyone will get off to a start in a cricket match, but the ones that do, you expect them to go all the way, and that's crucial. And we've seen that continuation, which is Roy at the top of the innings.
Yes.
From a bowling perspective, I think they looked a little more disciplined than what we saw in that game against Pakistan. They've tried a new combination, and it looked like it has paid dividends. And that combination was a combination they used, I'm sure, taking into consideration the opposing team, the venue, and all those things.
Yes.
So it informs them better as a team going forward in this tournament. And sometimes with lesser opposition, you might want to try and experiment as you build towards greater challenges. And I think that, to me, is a positive that Eoin Morgan will take. Winning is a habit. They didn't win in the last game. So getting 2 points and getting back on track to winning, I would say those are some of the important things that they will take out of this encounter.
Okay, if we are to just say we expected this from England with the bat, but they're still trying to find something with the ball as a bowling unit all round. Jofra Archer's looked very good. They obviously left out Moeen Ali, which is something both you and Graeme Swann thought wasn't the right move. And he also seems to be in praise for all his bowlers. Is that just post-match captain motivational talk? Or would you rather have him go in and say, we've conceded 280 today, we conceded 350 against Pakistan, South Africa scored 240 overs, but for a collapse might have even gotten closer, and there are still significant issues we need to address if we are to be favourites for this World Cup?
Yeah, I think it's the balance of the attack. I think sometimes I hope they don't keep playing 4 seamers and Ben Stokes. I don't think you necessarily need it unless, like I said before, it's a real seaming wicket or really quick pitch. Even so, a spinner has a role to play. Plus, Moeen Ali provides them, I mean, not that they need any more batting, but he can bat. Or you'll have to keep scoring 350 plus scores, which, frankly, looking at them, they might well do for the rest of the tournament. I mean, the batting is just incredible at the moment. You don't see how they won't score 350. But the question is, if they do concede bowling first, a 350 like they did against Pakistan, pressure can tell on your batting, no matter how good it is. So that's why the bowling needs to start getting better. It's only 3 games into the tournament, and they've got the personnel. Hopefully they keep picking like I said before, if they feel Plunkett's the guy who is more likely to get them wickets in the middle, then just stick with him in place of Mark Wood. But you don't need to try and fit both those guys in. Not too much wrong with that England team at the moment, and hopefully bouncing back from that loss to Pakistan clearly would have calmed the nerves.
All right, let's go back to Alexis and Graeme Swann now. We've been listening to this patiently, listening to the 2 captains too. And while Swanee would be elated, Alexis, maybe you can take the conversation forward with him about the identification of England's best bowling attack. Like Ajit says, try and figure out who ranks where in the pecking order. I know Swanee rates Tom Curran quite highly as well. So while this has been terrific from England with bat, let's hear from Swanee and you as to what you make about England with the ball.
Yes, indeed. Thanks so much, Ronak. We're here just catching a little bit of sun. You know, that makes my West
like
Indian
sun,
self
don't you?
very proud. Yes, because I'm actually a bit cold in here. You can't feel my hands. But someone else who was a little bit cold was definitely Swann. We just heard from Eoin Morgan. He wasn't as critical as you were about his bowlers. But of course, you know, he's a very nice motivational guy. So what would England's best bowling attack be then for you?
Well, the best bowling attack, without doubt, brings Moeen Ali back in at the expense of one of the seamers, because Adil Rashid is half the bowler without Moeen at the other end. And even Moeen is half the bowler without Adil at the other end as well. You need the two of them working in tandem. Alongside that, you need Liam Plunkett in the middle of the innings as an enforcer, if you like. Their records over the last 2 years speak volumes. That's why England are number one. They're part of the reason. Then you're tossing Archer, of course, plays. Thank you again for Jofra Archer. Wonderful, wonderful bowler, and gives them that extra edge because of his pace. Then you're talking it's one player between Wood, Wokes or Curran. Personally, I really like Tom Curran. I think he's got a box of tricks. I love his feisty competitiveness. I think he's a bit different. He can bat. And I think put him in the England team and they've got a bit more bite. And moving forward, that's what I do. Because they've got Stokes. Stokes is such a good bowler that he does the job that Wokes would anyway. And his name rhymes, Stokes and Wokes. It's great, it's easy.
Stokes and Wokes, that is easy indeed to say. Well, as we spoke about before, England really are spoilt for choice. And I think it was Daren that brought it up that, you know, sometimes that's a good thing for the captain because he can mix it up a little, he can experiment a little, especially in such a long tournament. And we're right here in the beginning. So are you a fan of that, or would you rather just identify your right bowling attack, your best one, and honestly just go with it?
I think get your right team and play with it. Honestly, I thought Eoin Morgan spoke really well there. He was, Ali Mitchell tried to make him, stand out, Jofra Archer, but he said he's very easy to captain, as are all my bowlers. I think that's good because even professional cricketers need their tyres pumping up, and they need to know they've got the backing of their skipper. But if I was Moeen Ali, I'd walk up to him and say, "I'm still your best bowler, Skip."
Just a reminder, if
Get
you
me
guys
back
didn't
in.
know that Swann is a massive fan of Moeen Ali, you know now, indeed, for that one.
Two
All right.
spinners all the way. Come on, I'm part of the Spinners Union.
Part of the Spinners Union here. Quickly before we go back to studio now, so a little bit of a break for England now. We heard from Eoin Morgan, who says not too worrying about Jos Buttler. That's definitely somebody that you're going to be happy, or some news that you'll be happy about, saying that England absolutely cannot do without him. So are you celebrating, are you embracing this little break that they have before they face the mighty West Indies? Or, would you rather them get a little more in between?
To be honest, I think now they've won well. I'd rather they play the West Indies tomorrow or in 2 days' time. I think once you get on a roll, get back to winning ways, the greatest thing to do once you're back on the horse is ride that horse.
All right, well, I don't think my West Indian heart can take a challenge from England tomorrow, so we're going to leave it at that. Thanks so much to Swanny, guys. Let's go back in studio to you.
Thank you very much, Alexis Nunez and Graeme Swann. I get that cue when you said the sun's coming down. How do you want some time off? So off you go. You've done your shift. You've done a great job today. You showed us some of Swanny's dancing moves. It's not the last time we'll see of that. And I'm sure we will have plenty more from Graeme Swann and Alexis Nunez as this tournament goes on. Now, England do have the luxury of a few days off, and they can sit back and watch the rest of the tournament, fight it out over the next week or so, and they'll try and match up what England do, try and get significant 300-plus scores. It's a record, like Daren Ganga pointed out. This sort of run-making is not something the world of cricket has seen often, but we're looking at the highest innings totals for England in Cricket World Cup, and you do see this 386 quite comfortably up top. The tied game in Bangalore is second. You have to go back to when the format was 60 overs for the next highest score. That was 334. And you don't have to go back too far away for the next one. That's the last game against Pakistan in a losing cause. And then you go back to 60 overs. So that's how England have split their history up. But for that game at Bangalore, they've needed 60 overs to get close to 330. And now they managed 300 for fun in, 40 overs or so. We'll hear from Shahriar Nafees in just a bit. In fact, Shahriar is with us. So let's go to him now, and let's do a more detailed analysis of where Bangladesh have gone wrong and where they can improve. Now, you've already said, Shahriar, they could have bowled better. Looking at the resources they have in that squad, what do you think is missing foremost? If they're going to come up against a strong batting lineup on a pitch which is not helpful in spite of winning the toss and trying to get whatever little you can out of it, what do Bangladesh need to change according to you with the ball? Okay, I'm going to come back to Shahriar. I think he's finding some trouble with the link, but let's ask Daren and Ajit that very question. We know the personnel they have. They keep Rubel Hussain out, who has a bit more pace than a Mashrafi. Is it time to find place for him? Is it just Mashrafi managing his bowlers better for you, Ajit?
Yeah, I think maybe they've got to get Rubel Hussain in. I know they can't leave Mashrafi out. I think at this point on his bowling form, for me, doesn't fit in the 11. But he is their leader. You need him around with all that experience. I think Mosaddeq is somebody they can leave out. They have enough spin options in Mehdi and Shakib himself, and their batting is doing quite well. It's the bowling that's letting them down at this point. I mean, you can't concede over 300 and expect your batters to chase it. I mean, the chase was really spirited, even though just one guy got a big score and there were a couple of 20s and a 40 odd. Not a lot from the rest of them, but it still was a good chase. 280 is not a small sort of score to get, but their bowling's got to improve if they've got to have a chance in this tournament.
Those are strong words, and yet they don't surprise me. But does Mashrafi Mortaza make the 11 purely as a player for you now, looking at the squad?
Well, he's got to try and bowl his full complement of overs and have an impact with the ball. If he's not having that impact consistently, then question marks will be raised. I think there's also Abu Jayad, who's another seaming option. He's very new, he swings the ball. They should not be afraid to try these guys and bring a little difference, a little variety to this Bangladesh team, because this is the same set bowling attack which have played for a number of years. So you want to have a little bit of difference against opposing teams in this World Cup.
And that's a conversation that Bangladesh need to have thick and fast. On the positive, though, Shakib seems to be getting runs for fun, tournament's highest run getter. That bodes them in good stead with the bat.
Yeah, I mean, this tournament, not just runs, I think his bowling, maybe not today, and England batted so well, but throughout this tournament, I think he's clearly the standout player. I mean, all those numbers we've been showing of Shakib throughout his career, he's outdoing them at this point. So, yeah, that's the one positive. Someone who's batting in that top three, doing as well as he is, but he needs a bit of support. I think not just with as far as batting is concerned, but when he bowls as well. I think one guy can't win you a tournament.
Yeah, that's it. That's the problem. They've got Shakib Al Hasan who's striking at 101, and you've got the rest striking at under 100. 120 odd runs for Shakib already against Bangladesh versus other Bangladesh batsmen in the top 5. Number 3 has made a big difference too for Shakib Al Hasan, but it's a big thank you to Ajit and Daren, and this is where we will leave our viewers in the Caribbean and come back with more after the second game between New Zealand and Afghanistan on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. Viewers on ESPN Cricinfo, stay with us because we're going to continue this chat, especially once we have Shahriar Nafees back, because it's a Bangladesh team that's shown promise and there's still a long way to go in the World Cup, but perhaps there are some questions that need to be asked of this team more in detail. And if I make this team a 2020 team now, Daren, and the sort of rules that go in franchise T20 cricket, I almost think it's a given now that if there was a coach in charge, he'd say, all right, Mashrafi, you're sitting out. Shakib, you're in runs, you're being captain, and we're going to put in the extra fast bowler. But it's not quite as easy in this format with this setup, is it?
It's not, and teams would have prepared for this challenge of a World Cup, and they would have taken into consideration contingencies, who they felt would have been the right person to lead their respective teams. And in this instance, with Bangladesh, Mashrafi Mortaza was the one selected. I don't think you can now second guess that decision because the tournament is unfolding. Yes, they had a great start, but it's about finding, to me, the best form that they can with the complement of players that they have. There are some players who they expect to perform better. You think of Tamin Iqbal at the top of the innings. He's been very consistent for this Bangladesh side. He's not fired as yet, and that's in the batting department. And I think, when the big five in this Bangladesh team, when they perform well, you tend to often find Bangladesh experiencing winning outcomes, and that has not been the case. You're seeing Shakib taking lead. One day Mustafizur Rahman, he got some wickets, but not all of the 5 are firing at the same time, and that is where I think they will probably need to focus on, because the combination, they can't change that now. It's already here, the World Cup is unfolding. Focus on getting your senior players firing.
All right, let me go to Shahriar Nafees now, and I think this would trigger a huge conversation and debate. Shahriar, the chat we're having is whether to just give their bowling a bit more muscle, a bit more teeth, whether they can look at someone like Rubal Hussain or Abu Ayad, and whether that would come at the expense of Mashrafi Mortaza because he's not pulling his weight as a bowler. And I know how much he means to this Bangladesh team tactically and as a leader and whatnot, but how do Bangladesh arrest these issues for you with ball, and where do you see Mashrafi's role in this going forward?
That's a tough call. But what I believe, Mashrafi is the last thread, last knot in a swing trade. So if it falls apart, then the team falls apart. What I believe, yes, we have got Rubel Hussain, who has been a good performer for Bangladesh for a long time. We can bring him in. At this moment, Bangladesh's batting looks quite okay, so we can leave out Saifuddin for a while, because in number 7, number 8, you don't need that batting support. Rubel can come in because he's been successful in the World Cup. Abu Jaid can be an option, but for the team management, whether they're going to take that chance with the new guy, I'm not sure. The batting looks okay. The batting has been the strength for Bangladesh, but still, it will be a very big call. It will be kind of a hazard in Bangladesh if we are talking about this kind of stuff, or the management is talking about this stuff. Still, I'm gonna keep my hand in the shoulders of Mashrafi, and I will ask him to perform better and to lead better.
Okay, I think Daren also would want to put an alternate question to you, perhaps. Yes, Daren.
Mosaddeq Hussain, do you think this Bangladesh team needs to continue persisting with him? He's playing as an all-rounder, not really getting wickets, not really making runs. That might be an option for Bangladesh to consider.
That's a good point. I would like to bring Liton Das into the team. Because he has been in a good form. He can replace whether Mosaddeq or Mithun, whoever there is. We've got Sabbir in the lineup, but if we leave Mosaddeq, at this moment Mahmudullah Riyad is not bowling, then the team is losing a bowling option. So probably Liton Das in the place of Mohammad Mithun.
Yeah, Mahmudullah is not bowling, and I can't believe he's still not batting top 4-5. This is the man who scored hundreds for Bangladesh. Just that last question, perhaps. The batting's looking good with Shakib and Mushfiq among the runs. Maybe they need more with Tamim and Shahriar, but I think that's just, it's almost like a big scores around the corner for each of them. But what about Mahmudullah coming up higher in these sorts of chases? You felt at some point that you'd want to give him more responsibility, the sort of record he has, Shahriar.
When I was playing into the team, and still I was talking to Mahmudullah, and I always wanted him to bat up the order, because he's been a very good, technically sound batsman. He has scored a lot of runs for Bangladesh. But what happened is, like a year back, when Mohammad Mithun came into the team, and he was given the number 5 spot, and he scored in the Asia Cup, and in the other series he scored. So that was the dilemma where the team management fell in. They didn't want. They wanted Mohammad Mithun to bat number 5 and put Mahmudullah number 6. But at this moment, there should be some changes, and the changes needed to be done, because we have lost a couple of matches at this moment, and Bangladesh are like quite kind of behind. Mahmudullah can and should come up to the order. He can bat number 5, and then Liton Das can bat number 6, because Liton Das is a top order batsman, but at this moment he is not going to get opportunity in top 4. So he can come number 6, because he's very good against spinners, he's good against seamers, he can hit the ball, and he's very he's a very confident player. So Mahmudullah can up to the order if Mohammad Mithun misses out.
Okay, I think it's a lot that the Bangladesh team management need to think about, but Shahriar's put that quite eloquently, and they do have options. You can understand why Mashrafi Mortaza did not make changes to this team after the brilliant start they had against South Africa, but with 2 back-to-back losses now, and how quickly the points table changes, you may need to make a few changes quickly, and that's how quickly it has changed. We did see Bangladesh with a good run rate a couple of games back, and in the topper half, but we're getting into that point in the World Cup now where it'll keep changing. England are back where they'd like to be, and Bangladesh go down now to number 8. What they also have is a game against Sri Lanka coming up, which is a massive game. You think it's a 4-pointer, and that's at Bristol, where we hope the weather stays good for the encounter between those two Asian sides. Thank you to Shahriar Nafees. Always brilliant to have Shahriar's thoughts on a Bangladesh game. Many thanks to Ajit, Agarkar and Daren, Ganga as well, who aren't going anywhere. They're going to be with you to wrap up things between New Zealand and Afghanistan at Taunton the minute that game's done. New Zealand in pursuit of what shouldn't be too much of a problem. So do join us then for ESPN Cricket for Matchday UK 2019. Story from Cardiff is that England's World Cup wagon is back on track.